All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, Healthy Holiday Habits. Before we get started, just a couple of the normal items to take care of. We will have some time for questions at the end of the presentation, and you can type those into the question box in the lower portion of your control panel. We will be posting a recording of the webinar on our blog. The link will be shown at the end as well. And a new change, if you would like a PDF copy of the presentation, there will be a link to download that on that same post as the recording. So exciting new change for this month. And if your question does not get answered today, you can still please email our support inbox, which will be shown at the end as well. So we're going to cover a variety of healthy habits we should be working towards this time of year because unfortunately, even though the song says we are in the most wonderful time of the year, our mental, physical, and emotional health can be strained during the holidays. We will start with some tips on stress and emotional health. Then we'll cover eating and exercise and how we can make the best of things, even though we tend to have more barriers with things like schedules and weather this time of year. So I'm going to start with stress and emotional health first because these, if not properly addressed, can lead to negative actions in other aspects of our health. The holidays can be wonderful, but they can also be filled with stress. Whether you have lost a loved one and the holidays are a tough time, whether you're wondering where you will find the money to buy gifts for your family, wondering when you will find the time to do everything you need to do, or whether the colder weather and lack of sunshine that some of us in the northern parts of the country have to deal with just gives you a dose of the winter blues. We need to deal with these issues in a positive way. Now, I'm going to start with financial stress today. We love to buy gifts for our loved ones, right? Absolutely. But we also need to think big picture. You need to start with communication. Sit down with your spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, mom, dad, whomever you make financial decisions with, and decide what you will do this year. Set expectations of what is realistic for you to do for gifts. Make a budget and agree on that budget. Don't bully the other person into agreeing on how much you should spend. Truly listen to all the opinions and come to a consensus of how much you want to do. Again, I know it's fun to go crazy with gifts, but if you're going to end up putting stress on your finances and in turn your mental health or your relationships, is it really worth it? So again, be realistic and set an amount. And I know some of you may have already started spending or maybe done with your shopping. If so, good for you. I wish I was in your same shoes. But you can use these tips for the remaining gifts if anything pops up, or use it for next year. And you can also look for sales. We're past the Black Friday, but this time of year there are sales and deals still everywhere. Now, the thing with that is be mindful that they're actually a true deal and not just a gimmick to make you spend more. As I've heard in my house, we can't afford not to buy that. That's not the right attitude, by the way. But like I said, there can be some great deals, but make sure you're still aware of what you're spending because things do add up quickly, even if there's a really good discount. Also, think about making your gift. What mom or dad, grandpa or grandma doesn't love a good handprint snowman from the kids or grandkids? Head to Pinterest or any search engine and enter do-it-yourself or DIY gifts, and the world of homemade gifts is at your fingertips. Seriously, though, there are amazing gifts that cost a fraction of the cost of those mass-produced things out there that your friends and family will love much more knowing that you spent time and effort into making them. So again, budget, look for sales, get your creative hat on when it comes to financial stress during the holidays. Keep in mind that budgeting not only works for this time of year, it works for any time of the year. If you start paying attention to your spending in January, you may find that you don't have the same worries about finances come this time next year. Something to think about. Okay, next stressor, that crazy schedule. As I've already said, and as you already know, this month can be absolutely chaotic. So I want you to take some time today, if you can, to map out your month and what parties, meetings, travel you have to do. If you have a clear understanding of what time you have, you can be more realistic with yourself when it comes to other things that pop up. Once you know your schedule, make a to-do list. Put those top priority items on top and then pencil in when you'll have time to work on them. Don't forget about exercise, time for yourself, relaxing. I hear every day that people just don't have time to do things, especially this month. I'm going to call your bluff on that. Even if it's 5 minutes, you can find time to sit and reflect on what you're grateful for, do some deep breathing, or do a quick set of lunges through your kitchen. I want you to actually physically write down the words relax or exercise on your schedule and pretend your boss scheduled it for you. You have to make yourself a priority or the stress is going to overwhelm you, or it can overwhelm you. On this note, and this might make some of you cringe, it's okay to say no sometimes. You don't have to attend every holiday party. You don't have to bake 18 dozen cookies for the bake sale going on. I know we all want to help out, and that's fantastic. You should absolutely have time built in for volunteering and helping out the less fortunate, again, all of the year, but especially this time of year. But know your limits as well. Make 2 dozen cookies instead of 18. Pick one work party to go to instead of all 3. One of the best sayings out there when it comes to scheduling is when you say yes to something, you are saying no to something else. So when you're saying yes to staying out late at a party, you're saying no to quality sleep. When you say yes to baking 18 dozen cookies, you are saying no to relaxing and playing with your kids. Think about those things when you're caught up in saying yes to everything. So make a to-do list, check it twice, and stick to the priorities and the schedule you set for yourself as best as you can. I know things are going to pop up, but if you're prepared and if you know that schedule, you should be able to overcome things that this month can throw your way. Okay, last big thing I will touch on today in the area is stress due to emotions surrounding this time of year. This is a tough topic. Like I said, it can be that you've lost a loved one and are thinking of them during this time. Most of us have lost someone that we think about during this season. This can lead to feelings of loneliness and can lead to depression. You can already have seasonal depression factoring into play as well, which can be due to chemical imbalances and lack of vitamin D from lack of sunlight exposure. So whatever the reason, some of us or our friends and family are struggling. The first tip I have for this kind of stress is to acknowledge that it's there. Some people don't understand how we can be sad, mad, or whatever because it's the holidays. We should all be happy and festive, right? No, there's no right way to feel when we're dealing with emotional stress. So don't try to ignore any symptoms you're feeling just because you aren't supposed to feel that way right now. If you realize that you've got some emotional stress, please reach out. Talk to someone you trust, which could be a friend, a family member, or a doctor or a therapist, whomever you trust to talk seriously about your feelings. If you feel like it's getting to a more serious level, like depression, call your doctor and they can certainly recommend a therapist for you. Your work also may have an employee assistance program that can recommend a professional to talk to, and it's all completely anonymous. But whatever you do, please don't do nothing. You deserve to have a happy holiday season just like everyone else, and getting help with the emotional stress can help you do that. Also, be realistic. What I mean by this is don't stretch yourself thin with commitments that you know will add to your stress. If you don't feel like you can go to that event because it will be overwhelming, then don't go. Know your triggers and do your best to either avoid or be prepared for them. Use my other tips like budgeting or spending and planning your schedule to add in that time for relaxation, exercise, or fun things that you would look forward to do. Or maybe it's as simple as planning on getting enough sleep. There is a link between sleep and depression, and also between exercise and helping symptoms of depression. So make both of these a top priority. If you can get outside with that exercise, even better, because then you can get yourself some of that vitamin D I talked about. On the other side, maybe take some time to help out those less fortunate than you. Donate to Toys for Tots or take a tag off of a tree that has a family in need that you can buy items for. Sometimes doing something for others can absolutely help your own outlook and your perspective, and it can help you with that stress. And then I wanted to give just a quick list of some specific ideas for de-stressors that you can incorporate into your schedule for the next month. Listening to music, getting a massage, reading, making a gratefulness journal. That's a really big one and it's really effective. Deep breathing, meditation, another really effective one. And then exercising. I'm going to touch on this again, but I'm going to say it right now too. This list is by no means everything, just a few ideas to take a few minutes of your time to help physically and mentally relax. So to sum up the stress section, communicate on a budget and expectations, schedule your priorities, which should include time for self-care. Don't be afraid to say no, and don't be afraid to reach out for help. Okay, let's move on to activity. If you already have indoor options for winter, that's great. But you should still think about getting outside sometimes, and I'm going to tell you why here in a minute. For those of you lucky enough to not have to worry about freezing temperatures and snow, you don't have to worry about this barrier as much, so you should be able to keep up with that great outdoor exercise. And for those of you who are getting ready to use your excuse of it's too cold, which I do hear from some of you down south as well when it gets into the 50s, because I understand it's cold for you, but here are some ways to embrace the winter weather. I first want to go over a few benefits of exercising in the colder weather, so maybe this can get you some motivation to bundle up and get out there. First is going to be calorie burn. Your body works harder to regulate its core temperature when it's cold out, so you'll end up burning more calories during that workout. Obviously, this is going to vary depending on your mass and the temperature, but hey, any increase is good, right? An interesting side note with this is something called brown fat. So we've got our normal white fat, which stores energy, but we also have another type of fat called brown fat that we once thought was only in babies, but now it's found in small amounts in adults too. So what is brown fat? Well, brown fat is fat that is packed with mitochondria. Think back to 8th grade science. What is mitochondria again? It's that kidney bean-shaped thing, which is also known as the powerhouse of the cell. It's the place where energy production happens. So this brown fat that is full of mitochondria burns energy and produces heat. Scientists have found that people who have lower BMIs tend to have more brown fat. So they're actually looking into the possibility of using this knowledge and brown fat to help fight obesity, which is really cool. But what does this have to do with exercising in the cold? Well, when you exercise and spend time in the cold, your brown fat is more active, and it could even cause you to grow new brown fat cells. While it's still kind of a mystery because it's hard to find, scientists say everyone has at least some, and they believe that we can grow it in anybody. So hopefully we'll continue to learn more, but until then, working out in colder weather can possibly help you naturally build this brown fat to burn more calories. Sounds like a good idea to get out there to me. Okay, next benefit of exercising in the cold, heart health. When you're cold, your heart has to work harder to distribute blood to the rest of your body. Similar to increasing your speed or incline on a treadmill, when you exercise in the cold, you're working to stress your heart muscle. Just like any other muscle in your body, when you work it, it has to adapt and will get stronger. So this harder work can make your heart muscle even stronger. One big note to pay attention here, if you already have heart issues or an unhealthy heart, it can be detrimental to work out in the cold. So please chat with your doctor if you have any history of heart issues. So it's just something to keep in mind. Next benefit of exercising outdoors, you'll improve your winter hydration. This was not on here, but if you've listened to other webinars, you know how important hydration is to almost every function in your body. So increasing hydration is super important. Think about it. Most of us drink way more water in the hot months. Why? Because you feel that sweat on your skin and it signals you to take a drink. We feel thirsty because our core temperature heats up more quickly in the warmer weather. What happens in the winter, though, is that your sweat evaporates more quickly, so you don't necessarily feel that loss of water, but you are absolutely losing it. So exercising in the winter can increase your core temperature more often, signaling you to drink more. The other positive is that you're simply continuing your summer exercise habits, which usually includes drinking more water before, during, and after a workout. Grabbing a water bottle is, or should be, second nature when you're going to work out, and it shouldn't matter the time of the year. All right, next benefit, you'll get that much needed vitamin D. I touched on this a little bit already, but if you aren't familiar with vitamin D, it's a wonderful thing that is produced in our skin as a result of exposure to the sun's rays. Vitamin D is vital in regulating the absorption of calcium, keeping the immune system functioning normally, and normal growth of bones and teeth. Just as important is the research that shows vitamin D may play an important role in regulating mood and warding off depression. Winter blues or seasonal affective disorder, yep, that lack of vitamin D can be part of those problems as well. Most of us are exposed to the sun regularly in the summer months, but don't get nearly as much in the winter. Partly because the sun isn't as prevalent in the winter, but mainly because we are hiding from the cold inside, right? So getting outside consistently when the sun is shining in the winter can really help to get a needed dose of that vitamin D. One note here as well, do not forget that sunscreen. Even though it's cold, you can absolutely still get a sunburn, so put it on your exposed skin before heading out. And to build on that vitamin D and helping with seasonal depression, that last benefit is our mood and energy. I just touched on one way getting outside can help with producing that vitamin D, but there are more too. One way the cold boosts that energy is simply because it's cold. When we don't have that humidity and heat that can wear us down in the summer, The fresh air stimulates our senses and increases our endorphins, those feel-good hormones. And because your body's typically working harder in the winter, like I already mentioned, your production of endorphins actually can increase even more. Good stuff. All right, so those are the reasons you should take advantage of outside workouts in the winter. I hope you got you motivated to get out there, but I want to touch quickly on some tips to stay on track with exercise during the holidays and different things you can do to mix it up. First, keep up with the exercise by scheduling it. I've already talked about scheduling, but it's worth repeating. If you go into the holiday season saying, sure, I'll get some exercise when I can, it's going to be hard. Schedules are crazy, we know, and if you don't schedule exercise into your time, it's the first thing that's going to get pushed to the bottom of the priority list. When you're scheduling your exercise, keep in mind that we do have less daylight than normal. This can be a big barrier. A lot of times it's dark when we get up, it's dark when we get home, so utilizing lunch breaks and weekends is something to think about when it comes to scheduling for a realistic time. If you do go in the dark, which you can, just make sure you're wearing reflective or light up gear so people in vehicles can see you. So think about what you do know about your schedule, find some time to carve out, and plan what you will do. And set some goals so you can track your progress. Set an amount of days you want to do something. If you're a walker or a runner, set a mileage goal, or you can set a minutes goal. Say you want to hit that 150 minutes of moderate exercise that's recommended, great. If you said, I will do 5 days of 30 minutes and you end up doing 45 minutes on Monday, how great does that feel? You're already ahead of the game. Keep a tally sheet of what your goal is and make it a big deal as you get closer and closer. And you can always challenge a family member or a friend to see who can get in the most minutes, miles, or whatever it is, if competition is what motivates you. If you have a tracker or app on your phone, use it. Be sure to hit that 10,000 step goal or whatever you set as that mark. If you get home and you have 1,000 steps left to go, get moving. Anything to keep you mindful of your movement physically. And then reward yourself. Not with food, preferably. It could be a new outfit, trip to the movies, something fun that you would not normally do for yourself. Incentives are a good thing if we use them properly. And then if you've got family home for the holidays, exercise with them. Make exercise a group activity. Go for a walk, have a snowball fight, go skiing, sledding, something fun. If you don't have snow or in a warm climate, go swimming for the rest of us who can. Have some fun. Again, take a page from those younger kids you may be around. Build that snowman, go sledding, play. It's all exercise and it has great benefits, and not just physical benefits, mental and emotional too. You can make a new tradition. Have an annual family football, soccer, baseball, basketball game, run, whatever it is. Winner gets a homemade trophy and bragging rights until next year. Point is, we need to embrace the different schedules and things that we've got going on this year, not use it as an excuse to be unhealthy. Okay, let's hit that nutrition side of things for our last topic today. Typically, I would give you a bigger section on nutrition, but we just had a webinar last month that covered a lot of swapping ingredients and different recipes to try. So if you're looking for more, head to our blog and take a look at November's webinar. But let's talk about a few tips that are specifically for the holidays and even more specifically, holiday get-togethers. My first tip is to eat before you go out. If you're headed to a family or friend's house and you suspect all they will have are going to be cookies, drinks, and not so many healthy options, try to eat a healthy meal before you go. Along the same lines, drink a big glass of water to help you fill up. And continue to drink water throughout the day. We can easily mistake thirst for hunger, and drinking water can also signal your stomach to tell your brain that you are full earlier, giving you that full feeling, which will help you slow down on those portions. Then stay away from the table where the food is located so you don't mindlessly take things you shouldn't. We've all been there, right? You're talking, you're eating, you don't even pay attention to how much you're eating or what you're putting in your mouth. And if it's a potluck, bring your own healthy option. Then you will know there will at least be one thing that you can take more of, and then you can take a smaller portion of something yummy that you like that someone else makes as a treat. And you know you will be providing others with that healthier option as well. It's a win-win for everybody. The next tip is to use a small plate. There are many studies out there that say that if you take less, if you have a smaller plate, right? That makes sense. Captain Obvious, I can't fit as much on there, right? Yes, this is true, and one of the reasons you should do it, but also it's a mental trick. Even if you don't fill up this small plate, you will feel like you took more because it looks like a bigger portion on that smaller plate. So again, it's kind of a mental trick as well. Also, don't go back for seconds right away, and not at all if you can help it. If you at least wait a little bit before heading back to the food or drink a big glass of water, like I already talked about, you will give your stomach a chance to signal your brain that you're full. The same thing as to what we said about the water. It's going to help make that signal go faster and sooner. This will avoid eating extra bad foods and will prevent you from getting to that too full point. Nobody feels good at that point, right? So let's avoid it altogether if we can. Next thing, be careful of beverages. First reason, those fruity punches are probably filled with enormous amounts of sugar. Second, if they're alcoholic, your reasoning skills when it comes to eating more food tends to go right out the window. Water is obviously the ideal choice, but be reasonable with other amounts of drinks if you do want to consume something with a little more flavor. You're going to thank yourself the next day for multiple reasons if you stay away from some of those alcoholic and sugary beverages. And then, if you're hosting, get those leftovers out of the house. Let others take what they want. Don't hang on to all the sweets especially. Or think of donating those leftovers to a nearby facility that takes food donations. And if you're not hosting, yes, you can take some, but politely decline taking more than you should. And while I know food is a very important part of tradition, look to find something to do that's not centered around food as well. Crafts, board games, a winter hike, those competitions that I talked about, the family basketball games. Find something to get your mind off of the food. Again, I know it's very important and part of traditions, which is fine, but the reason for getting together is not what we eat, it's to spend it with those who we love, right? So don't make it all about the food. And remember, it's called a holiday or a few days depending on what you celebrate, but not a challah month or a challah year. So treat it as such and focus on your normal habits the rest of the time surrounding those special days. So right now, for example, if you're not celebrating Hanukkah, you can be good until the next holiday. We've still got weeks and weeks. And then I wanted to add in a bonus tip here. Get some sleep. I consider this a bonus tip because getting enough sleep will help you not only make better decisions when it comes to food, it will help you deal with your holiday stressors and emotions. It will help you get more energy to get in that exercise consistently. If you've scheduled your month and made your priorities clear, there should be no reason you can't get to bed on time most nights. So shoot for that 7 to 9 hours and set yourself up for success for the season. Okay, really quick, simple checklist just to sum everything up. Be mindful of your emotions. Seek help if you need to. Keep moving. I don't care what it is. Get that heart rate up. Do what you can. And don't let the holidays become a 2-month free-for-all. This is not easy all the time. I get that. But keep these simple ideas in your head to help keep you mindful all season long and all year long, really. When we are mindful, better. We're not looking for perfection. We're looking for better. So keep those in mind, and I hope you guys can take away and have a wonderful holiday season. All right. Upcoming webinars next month, breaking habits. We talk about making new habits a lot, but breaking those old habits can be tough too. So we're going to give some specific tips on breaking old habits when we're making new ones. And then February, heart health. Heart health month is February, of course. So we're going to give you some tips on keeping that heart strong. And then our contact information. So we are on Twitter, we're on Facebook, that blog, that's where you're going to sign up for the future webinars, and that's also where you can watch the recording of this webinar. In the next couple days, we'll get that up, and also is going to be now where you can download the PDF if you want these slides that we just went over today. We're also on Instagram, and then you can give us a call or shoot us an email. Like I said, if your question doesn't get answered today in the time we have left, you can email us or you can call us and set up a time. We'd be more than happy to chat.